Good evening, welcome back to East Midlands Airport, welcome back to Live Flight Action, streaming live from the Aeropark this evening from our regular spot. Thank you very much for joining us. A little bit different the weather this week, definitely a lot hotter, a bit more cloud than we saw on Thursday. The Ryanair making its way onto stand there, making its way from Palma this evening, registration 9 Hotel, Quebec Alpha Zulu. Have a look at that one. A little bit more detail. Looks like that one is going to perch right on the back of the apron there. Catch up with that one in a minute, but lining up on runway 27 on the sensor line, making its way down towards us now. The Chewy service off to Rhodes this evening. Registration Golf Tango Uniform Mike 737 Max. This one is 6 years of age. It's hopefully making its way down. Looks like they're just holding at the end of the runway there. Sounds like that one is indeed rolling towards us now. So I'll pan around then and catch this first departure on this evening's stream. Have a look at the rest of the operations for this evening. First out, the Chewy off to Rhodes this evening. Safely departing away this evening, passing through 800 feet there. You see a bit of weather in front of it this evening. Safely making its way out, starting to make that left hand turn now down towards the south. Once that one reaches about 2,500 feet, that one will pass off to London control, having left East Midlands airspace. Safely at 1,800 feet. Making its way up to 2,000 now. There you go, past 2,000. And handing off to London control there. That's the Chewy service off to Rhodes this evening. Registration again on that one, Golf Tango Uniform Mike Foxtrot 737 Max. So look on the DHL apron this evening then. Bit of traffic over there. So look right on the end stand, the 767 there, perched right on the very end. Just move a few bits around and get a bit of a better view. There we go, it's a little bit better. 767 right on the very end stand there, then 777 making its way in just a short while ago. That one right in front this evening, in the process of being unloaded. See if we can get a close-up of the operations. That one this evening, registration Delta Alpha Alpha Lima X-ray. That one arriving in from Delhi just before 5 PM this evening. About 40 minutes ago that one made its way in. See if that one is off out anywhere. It's back out Leipzig, I believe. Just a short while, so we'll keep an eye on that one. The 767's then on stand next to the 777. Not one, but two there. 757, a little further down. There we go. And on the very end, just to complete the job, another 767 in with us this evening. That one in the Mountain Bongos livery. On the very end stand for the time being anyway. Let's try and get a little bit more light in there. There we go, that is a bit better. If we pan across to the adjacent apron this evening, on a couple of Ryanair aircraft in the distance. Of course, that service that we're going to have a quick look at. Looks like that one has already started to disembark this evening. If we can work. Hopefully the connection's stable. There we go, so that one is working a little bit better now. That one making its way in from Parma. Have a look on the radar in just a little while at what else is making its way towards us this evening. And just a little further across, the Swift ATR in the very distance there. That right to the back of the apron this evening. Looks like that one is with a Spanish registration. And then if we follow the ops car back up the runway, there we go. West Atlantic ATR on the very back stand there. Hopefully we'll see that West Atlantic service in from Aberdeen towards the end of the stream this evening. Flying in on stream until about 8:45, depending on the traffic. So look at those departures there. The Ryanair service to Malaga departing at 17:55 this evening. So in about 20 minutes time we should see that one out. So look at the 777 as we go through these departures. There we go. So that service to Malaga departing at 5 to 6 this evening. At 6:05. Service back to Parma, that's the Ryanair service. 777 off to Leipzig at 5 to 7 this evening. 7:45 Ryanair service to Valencia. That one should be joined around the same time by the Ryanair service to Wrocław this evening. And then the DHL 767 off to Brussels. All three of those flights departing around the same time this evening. And of course 777 off to Cincinnati. 767 was the last service we managed to catch on the stream on Thursday, I believe. Staying a little later, catching a few of those last arrivals on the stream. FedEx 737 making its way in. We'll see that one in a little while. That one usually arrives once we're packing up. But fingers crossed, the Cincinnati service will be operated by the 777 this evening. Let's see whereabouts that aircraft is. That one is in fact making its way in from Cincinnati at the minute, just below 37,000 feet. 506 knots is a cruising speed on that one. Registration on the inbound from Cincinnati this evening, and Golf Delta Hotel Lima Victor. Let's have a look at the departures. Sorry, arrivals, not departures. Arrivals into East Midlands this evening, and a delayed service in from Kennedy. 767 making its way in from Kennedy this evening. That one is scheduled to arrive with us at 6:10. Following behind at about 6:45, the 777 in from Cincinnati. That is the aircraft hopefully making its way out towards the end of this evening's stream. That one should be in with us in about an hour's time. The RVL service in from the Isle of Man at 7:05 this evening. Shortly followed by the Ryanair service in from Dublin. That one is expected to arrive with us at about 7:05 as well. The Ryanair service in from Wrocław just after 7:10. In about 7:15, the 777 in from Leipzig this evening. That's the Airlogic 777 making its way over to East Midlands. Chewy service out to inbound from Parma. That one is expected to arrive with us about 7:30 this evening. And then slightly ahead of schedule, only by a few minutes, but ahead of schedule is the UPS 767 making its way in from Philadelphia. That one should be with us at about 5 to 8 this evening. The Ryanair service to Faro, scheduled to arrive at about 10 past 8, and the 757 making its way in from Reykjavik just after 25 past 8 this evening, shortly followed by that service in from Aberdeen. That's the West Atlantic 737-400. Should be with us about 8:30 this evening. The Atlas Air pinging up on some radars isn't airborne, so we won't see that one this evening, unfortunately. But we will see the services in from Belfast and hopefully Krakow this evening. The Maersk service making its way over from Belfast, and the Ryanair service in from Krakow. The Belfast service due to arrive with us at about 20 to 9 this evening, and that Krakow service at about 5 to 9. We'll keep an eye on the Krakow service. If that does enjoy a delay, we'll either end on that or end on the service in from Belfast. But thank you very much for joining us again this evening. So it's very hot and a little bit humid where we are this evening. It makes a change from the weather last week, and it's a little windier than it was this evening. But still good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us on this evening's stream. First stream of the week. Should be out again on Thursday evening this week, weather permitting. So look in the distance then, and the progress of that Ryanair service in the far distance there. Fueling truck in place on that one then. Just lose a little bit of light if we can, take a bit of the edge off that shine this evening. So the service in front of us operating out to Palma this evening. That one estimated to depart East Midlands at about 6:05. So the next 25 minutes or so, that one should be making its way out. And if we have a look just to the right, that should hopefully be the service out to Malaga this evening. Registration 9 Hotel Victor Uniform Victor, regular on the streams here at East Midlands. That one with an estimated departure time of 5:55. So in the next 15 minutes or so, that one should too be making its way out just ahead of the service out to Palma this evening. We have a look on the radar then at what's in the vicinity. Service in from Kennedy this evening, just leaving the coast of Northern Ireland, making its way down to the most southern tip of the Isle of Man. Registration on the inbound then, Golf Delta Hotel Lima Kilo 767-300. That one now at 34,500 feet. Speed on that one at about 480 knots. That one's arriving with us in about 30 minutes, making its way down towards Liverpool, over the Peak District in towards East Midlands. We are on runway 27 operations this evening. I think we're going to be on 27 operations for quite a while. Yeah, there's not a lot of change in the weather, specifically the wind. So a quick look. Nope, all the way into next week, looking like the wind making its way in from the west. So 27 operations for the foreseeable, unfortunately. We'll keep an eye on the weather. It is quite susceptible to change, as we know all too well. So it was threatening to rain earlier, A few drops making its way down on top of us. Hopefully that doesn't materialise. But for the time being, yeah, it's quite pleasant. There's a little breeze blowing towards us, providing a bit of relief from the heat today. And temperature wise, we're about 26 degrees at the minute. So quite warm indeed. So a look background then, out that Ryanair service out to Parma. There we go. Bring up on the secondary camera. Now, if we wait though, so look at the Vulcan making its way out of East Midlands this evening. That one just sneaking out. National Police Service Vulcan there, making its way out of East Midlands this evening. Let's lose a little bit of that light if we can. There we go. That will make its way down towards the south. A little blip on the radar earlier, and then it disappeared. Just hear the engines roaring towards us before we're about to switch camera. There we go, the Vulcan making its way out of East Midlands down towards the south. Hopefully see that one back in just a short while. So depending on the length of its operation this evening, may see that one back in the next hour or two. But that Ryanair service then in the distance. And if we bring the secondary camera up, there we go, a view of that 777. Yes, that one continues the process of being unloaded this evening. So, good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us in the chat as well. Alan, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And on the One Air, I think Laura's answered that one, but just 3 747s in the fleet at the minute. They have a 777, I think, on its way at some point. I believe that is still firmly on the ground over in the US. Daz, good evening to you. I shall hopefully see you in just a short while. Hazel and Liam as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And CB, good evening to you. So hopefully that Ryanair service out to Malaga makes its way out anytime soon. It's like a bit of heat kicking out of the back of the APU there. A lot of heat haze in the distance as well. For the time being, all quiet around the airfield. Well, not so long to wait until that first arrival makes its way in that 767 in from Kennedy, and just about to make its way over the coast of Northern Ireland. That 777 in from Cincinnati this evening. That one is about 50 minutes away from us now. And the UPS 767 a little further out, that's got about 2 hours left to run. That one currently at 37,000 feet, registration at November 335 Uniform Papa. Speed on that one is 495 knots at present. So look, that's what's making its way here from the east then. 777 in from Leipzig. That one departing about 15 minutes ago. Should be with us in about an hour and 15 minutes. Registration on that one, Delta Alpha Lima Foxtrot. That one at 36,000 feet, 468 knots. Here's the cruising speed and the Ryanair service in from Breslau. That's 38,000 feet, just south of the Airlogic 777. Service in from Breslau, taking slightly longer, just a few more minutes than the 777 to reach us this evening. Should be with us in about an hour and 20 minutes. That one departing Breslau about 35 minutes ago at 38,000 feet, 430 knots. Is the cruising speed of the aircraft. Registration, Sierra Papa Romeo November Golf is the registration. That one 737, 819 years of age. A lot of the services departing earlier in the afternoon here at East Midlands. A lot of those aircraft making their way over Europe, just entering the Netherlands and over into Germany. Services off to Krakow, Dalaman and Rhodes. The road service managing to catch just as we started this evening's stream. Taxiing out there 152, making its way down to the start of runway 27. Nice evening for a bit of a local flight. And just disappearing. And the dip on the taxiway there. Look around and looks like everybody is ready to make their way on board one of those aircraft this evening. There you go, even the crew is making most of it. Looks like they may be waiting for the Malaga service there. Everyone's pointing in that direction anyway. Could be wrong. Difficult to tell from this perspective, but we shall find out in just a few minutes once they start moving towards one of those aircraft. So around the rest of the airfield while we're waiting for that service to start boarding. We should switch back to the main camera. Let's have a look at the 767 in front of us there. That one on stand this evening, that upper cargo door in use. Delta Hotel Lima Oscar is a registration on that one. Have a look at where that is off to this evening. Brussels is the scheduled service for this one. Should be departing East Midlands at about 7:45 this evening. (767-300). This one is 13 years of age. That one making its way in from Leipzig in the early hours of this morning. Just after 2:15 this morning. And out to Brussels a little later, and I'm making the same return journey from Brussels to East Midlands. That one arriving just before midnight. So a busy few hours for the aircraft. Have a look across at the 777 then. Service should be making its way out to Leipzig. Delta Alpha Alpha Lima X-ray. There we go, the crew just making their way down that forward stair. It looks like that one has just been finished. Well, it has been finished, refueled. It's like they're closing up the access panels there. On board, ready to receive the last of the cargo this evening. So let's keep a view of that 777 then. Have a look on the bottom left hand corner. Now that apron camera. So they're not quite ready to board just yet. Malaga service pinging up on the radar now. That one pushing back, so it looks like everybody waiting there is indeed waiting for that Palmer service to start boarding. There you go, the Malaga service just coming into view. Registration on that one again this evening, a 9 Hotel Victor uniform Victor 737 MAX. This one delivered in July 2021. Making its way over from Girona this afternoon. That one arriving just after 5 p.m. It's about 50 minutes on stand for that one this evening. Stick with the 777 on the main camera then, and on the secondary camera we'll stick with a view of that Ryanair service to Malaga as it pushes towards the back of the stand, ready to start up and make its way down to the threshold for runway 27 this evening. Now, a little bit cloudy above us this evening, unfortunately, so in terms of catching some of those overheads, maybe a little bit difficult. We'll have a look for a break in the cloud though. Hopefully see some of that traffic making its way over to Manchester, as we did at the on the end of last week's stream. 787-9 making its way in from Abu Dhabi. That's the Etihad 787 just south of Leicester at the minute, making its way west of East Midlands. Tiny break in the cloud, so we'll try and catch that one if it manages to make it before the next bank of cloud rolls in. engines on that 737 starting up then. Take our view over to that one now. Anyway, the anti-collision beacon light just hidden in the background there, but that one should be out in it on its way in the next few minutes. Still looks like everybody's waiting to make their way on board that Palmer service this evening. Still, at least it's not cold and windy like it was last week. I bet it's stiflingly hot on board. The 152 we saw taxiing just a little earlier. So have a look at that one as it makes its way out of East Midlands. A bit bumpy on the climb out there. That one safely climbing away. Now that 787 just behind the cloud, unfortunately. Try again in a little while. In the distance, that 737 service off to Malaga. Let's have a look at the service in from Kennedy. That one about 15 minutes away from us now, making its way down towards Leek, passing through 14,800 feet at 372 knots. 50 minutes or so, and we should see that one on the ground with us this evening. Right, let's change a few things, make it a bit easier for ourselves. Justin, good evening to you. Emma as well. Thank you both for joining us. And Matt, good to see you in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us as well this evening. Jero and David, good evening to both of you as well. Hopefully, next few minutes then, we'll see that Ryanair service off to Malaga start to taxi out. Everybody looking a bit bored in the distance, waiting to make their way on onto the Palmer service. So look at the 777 in front then. service to Malaga finally starts to taxi out. Just a few minutes delay on the outbound to Malaga this evening then. Making its way on to the taxiway then, down towards the start of runway 27. This one should make it out first before the arrival of that 767 in from Kennedy. There we go, we'll get back onto that 777 just a few minutes. The 737 safely making its way down on the taxiway then. That one should be making its way past us in the next few minutes. (767) here from Kennedy, passing through 9,500 feet. With about 10 minutes to go now, just north of Ashbourne, making its way past Carsington Water down towards the north of Derby. That will skirt over towards the south of Nottingham before making a right hand turn onto the final approach for runway 27. That next departing aircraft though is almost at the holding point for runway 27. Nothing pinging up as of yet for that Palmer service. So a quick look around. So they're finally starting to board. See the long queue of passengers there finally moving. And those first passengers making their way on board the rear of that aircraft. You see just how hot it is with us this evening. A lot of heat haze in front of us on the runway. A lot of insects around as well this evening. Making its way onto runway 27 and just a little earlier. Ryanair service to Malaga, lining up on the centre line now. That service in from Kennedy, passing through 7,000 feet. Let's pan around then and catch that next departure from East Midlands. Safely lifting away from runway 27 this evening then. Ryanair service to Malaga. That one starting its left and turn down towards the south now, passing through 1,300 feet. Of course, in just a minute or so, making its way out of East Midlands airspace, Passing off to London Control. And I go 2,500 feet. Passing off on the radio there, leaving East Midlands airspace. Run a service to Palma then. Let's have a look at that. That 767 should be with us just a few minutes time. So that one is boarded very quickly indeed. Everybody eager to get on board that aircraft this evening. That rear stair still in place. Now the ground crew there busy working away to get everything moved out of the way. Hopefully keeping that one on schedule this evening. Now that one departing, I estimated to depart about 6:05, so just a few minutes behind. Looks like everything is ready for that one to start pushing back though, apart from that rear stair still being in place. In the next few minutes that should be clear. That one should be making its way down to the start on runway 27. 767 in from Kennedy, south of Nottingham now, then passing through 4,000 feet. 246 knots is the speed on that one. I think it's just starting to rain. Ever so slightly anyway. Hopefully it continues in a northern direction away from us. It's looking a little bit grey in the distance though. So if we have a look just above the tower there, looking just a little dark. So hopefully it doesn't make its way towards us anytime soon. No, I think we'll making a hasty exit. But for the time being then, whilst that 737 there is being prepared to depart this evening, the 767 has just made the first of two right-hand turns towards us, just turning south over Tollerton. And just a couple of minutes making that last right-hand turn onto the approach for a runway 27, the 777 we were looking at just a little earlier. Still a little way off being loaded up this evening. Bit of cargo left around the outer perimeter of that stand, waiting to go on board. That one should be making its way out in about 45 minutes. Estimated departure time on that one is about 5 to 7 this evening. Just leaving Germany, making their way over the Netherlands this evening then. 777 in from Leipzig. That one should be with us in about 50 minutes, and that Ryanair service in from Wrocław, about 55 minutes left to run on that one this evening. 767 over East Leek now though at 2,000 feet. That will be the next arrival into East Midlands on this evening's stream. flight time on the arriving service from Kennedy this evening, and about 6 hours and 9 minutes by the time it touches down. That one just passing over Kegworth. 1,200 feet is the altitude, 146 knots. Ground crew around the Palmer service then, ready to get that one pushed back off of stand, started up and on its way down the taxiway this evening. One should hopefully be moving in the next few minutes. Next service to arrive into East Midlands and the service in from JFK this evening, just passing over the M1. Pan around in the direction of runway 27, ready to see that one landing this evening. There you go, hear those reverse thrusters making their way towards us. Service in from Kennedy, landing into East Midlands this evening, and flight time about 6 hours and 10 minutes by the time it touched down. And that one vacating off of runway 27 onto the taxiway. Try to get a little bit more lighting if we can. It's turned just a tad dark. Hopefully got a closer view of the flight deck there for you this evening. Stick with this one just for the time being then, as it makes its way onto the apron. Still on the taxiway at this point. Hopefully about to make that right hand turn. Joining its counterparts on stand this evening. Now, looks like this one is heading straight onto the stand. Next to the 767, making its way out to Brussels this evening. There you go, just starting to make that turn onto stand now. Let's get a close-up view of the flight deck as it moves onto stand this evening. There we go, tucking itself firmly away behind the 767 there, off to Brussels a little later on. 767 making its way in from Kennedy this evening. There we go. So look back round at the Ryanair service off to Palma then. The progress that one is making. Oops, bit of jitter there. Sorry about that. Ground crew clear around the aircraft. There we go, just starting to push. Now this one will probably take a good few minutes to get those engines started up before it starts proceeding down to the start of runway 27. Registration again on the airbound service to Palma. 9 Hotel Quebec Alpha Zulu 737-800. This one is 10 years of age. Just over 10 years of age actually. Delivered in May 2015. Triple 7 in from Cincinnati is about 25 minutes away from us at 27,000 feet. That one is making its way down towards Liverpool Bay at the minute, routing over Liverpool, down towards Stoke-on-Trent and then on into East Midlands. 443 knots is the speed of that one. Registration again, Golf Delta Hotel Lima Victor. Ryanair service making its way over from Dublin this evening. It's making its way down towards a runway in Dublin. That one should be with us in about 40 to 45 minutes. Registration on the inbound Echo India Delta Whiskey Golf. That one also a 737-800. And then the Aerologic in from Leipzig, taking a very similar route to what it did on last Thursday's stream. Looks like one is going to make its way in towards us a little further up. It did route over into Grimsby area and over to Sheffield and down the in the direction of the M1 last Thursday, but that one should be with us in about 40 minutes time. 36,000 feet is the current altitude of that one. 453 knots is the cruising speed. 737 in from Wrocław though. That's taking a pretty standard route across from Wrocław this evening, just about to leave the coast of the Netherlands. That one will approach from the area around Southend, Chelmsford, before making its way up towards Luton, Milton Keynes, and then up towards the south of Leicester before making its way down on the approach into runway 27. Let's get a little more centralised on that Palma service. There we go. A little bit more light in as well if we can. It's a little bit dark over there now. The sun has unfortunately disappeared. A lot of very thick grey cloud above us at the minute. A few showers forecast further north. Hopefully they don't make their way this far south. Good evening to everybody joining us in the chat as well. Thank you very much for being with us this evening from East Midlands and from the ground of the Aeropark Museum here at East Midlands Airport. If you're interested in visiting the airport, they're open on their summer schedule this Thursday, Saturday and Sunday to the public. Opening times 11 AM until 5 PM. If you want any information of how to find them, what's on offer here, all the aircraft on static display, have a look at the stream description below. There's a link in there to their website. Give you all the information about the aeropark. Everything they have to offer. But thank you for joining us. First stream of the week for us this week at East Midlands. Should be back out again on Thursday evening, weather dependent. So it's been a little humid to start with this evening. The clouds rolling in, making it a little cooler for the time being. I think that temperature is scheduled to drop away as well, or forecast should I say, to drop away over the next couple of hours. It should be back down into 18-19 degrees as we finish this evening stream. It looks like a little bit of rain forecast for tomorrow morning as well, before getting a little bit sunnier for Thursday's stream. The wind still making its way from the west though, so we'll be on 2-7 operations again. And looking a little bit unsettled for next week as well. Tuesday's forecast at the minute looks to be predominantly rain. So I think a little bit of rain is just starting to fall on us again here. That Ryanair service to Palma then, waiting there on the rear of the stand, quite possibly waiting for a new slot this evening. That one was estimated to depart East Midlands at about 6:05. But we shall stay with that. And the 777 in front of us, that one is estimated to depart East Midlands in the next 20 minutes or so. Looks like they're still busy loading the last containers on this evening though. So we'll see how that one sticks to its schedule. But hopefully in the next 20 minutes or so we will see some movement on that one. A bit more than the 737 in front of us at the minute. The anti-collision beacon lights pinging away there though. So it should be making its way out in the next few minutes, hopefully. Vulcan Air we saw making its way out of East Midlands about 40 minutes ago now. That one orbiting just northwest of Leicester. So not too sure when we'll see that one back in, but operational times can vary on the aircraft depending on whereabouts they needed and for the length or duration that they needed on operation as well. But anywhere from about an hour to 2 hours is typical. Triple 7 in from Cincinnati, making its way down past Liverpool now then. That one is routing down towards Stoke-on-Trent at the minute. 20 minutes or so, and we'll see that one in on the ground with us. A lot of aircraft above us there, see, it sounds like a lot of aircraft above us anyway. Just looking back through the comments there, yeah, the Voyager just passing over us a little while ago, David. Not sure what that was followed by. It sounded like some typhoon activity above us as well. And Richard, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And Jack as well. Good to see you both here in the stream. Daz and Jane as well. Thank you very much for joining us. So hopefully this one is going to move out. There we go, just as I said it, it is on its way out. Finally on the move then, that Ryanair service making its way out to Palma this evening. Little bumpy over there on the apron. Catch back up with the 777 in just a few minutes. So look at the 737 as it starts its taxi down towards runway 27. There you go, safely on the taxiway, making its way down to the start of 27. Just losing that one behind the line of trees there. Let's have a look then at that 777 close up on the main camera this evening. Oops, a little too far. There we go, that aircraft just shining. And the last of that light making its way through the cloud. Hopefully not too much more to load on this evening. It's seen them busy working there on that top deck and the lower deck as well. Estimated departure time about 5 to 7 this evening. So the next 20 minutes or so, that one should be making its way out. The 777 in from Cincinnati is about 15 minutes away from us though, overhead Stoke-on-Trent at the minute, passing down through 16,400 feet. 367 knots is the speed on that one. And service to Palma. Just a little longer to go before it reaches the holding point for runway 27. We'll see that one out first before the arriving 767 though. And the Airlogic 777 is indeed making its way in towards us a little further up. Looks like that one is going to make its way over towards the Lincolnshire coast. Looking roundabouts the Mablethorpe area. That one is going to break over the coast before making its way over towards South Yorkshire, direction of Sheffield I think, and then routing down towards East Midlands from that point to 36,000 feet as a cruising altitude on the Aerologic 777 in from Leipzig. 444 knots is the current speed, and the Ryanair service in from Breslau at 38,000 feet. That one is indeed making its way down towards Southend-on-Sea at the minute. It looks like it's going to make land a little further up, heading towards Chelmsford, before making its way up towards Luton, over towards Northampton, up towards Leicester, and then into East Midlands. Ryanair service though holding at runway 27. 152 we saw departing a little earlier is just overhead Long Eaton at the minute at 1300 feet. That one will likely be orbiting just for a little while while the wake turbulence from the 737 clears. So nothing else on the inbound just yet. So hopefully it'll be straight out. But good to have you all with us this evening, and thank you very much for joining us. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider doing so. It's free and it helps the channel grow. We achieved over 3,000 subscribers on last Thursday's stream, so thank you to everybody who made that happen and everybody who's joined us from the very start of our streams here at East Midlands. Of course, thank you to all of our members as well for your continued support. So the Ryanair holding at runway 27. Now, if that is holding for the 152, it's not typical. Looks like that one is turning towards the west now, so likely orbiting. Indeed, giving way to that service to Palma. Unless there is something on the approach that we can't see on the radar, but it doesn't look like it. Stay with the 777 here in front of us for the time being. (767) north of Derby now at 9,400 feet. So a little pan around our refueling truck underneath the wing of a 767 there. That one is off to Leipzig as well. Solo in the direction of 27, then something landing in that isn't on radar. May well be a Gulfstream. I don't know. Something a little bit different this evening. Well, there we go. Not every day we see that arriving into East Midlands, but quickly making its way off the runway down towards the maintenance area. See if we can get a close-up view of that one. Very squeaky brakes. Like it's Maltese registered, 9 Hotel on the front of the registration. Ryanair service to Palma, lining up on runway 27, that one on the centre line now. Get some details of the aircraft in front of us. just a few minutes. Let's catch the departure of that service to Palma this evening though. Go up quite early. Very early indeed, that one. Safely making its way out of East Midlands this evening, making that left-hand turn down towards the south. There we go, very grey and murky in the distance. There we go, breaking away through up into the cloud. Service off to Palma this evening. So look in the distance, and that Dassault Falcon that landed in just a few minutes ago. It's probably the first time we've managed to catch one of these at East Midlands. There we go, right at the back of the apron there. Probably explains why the this one wasn't showing on radar and the Ryanair was holding as well. Have a look at that one for the next few minutes and see if anything interesting makes its way off of the aircraft this evening. Triple 7 shouldn't be too far out. That one just passing south of Nottingham now. 4,500 feet. That one is making its way down towards 4,000 feet now. 212 knots is the speed on that one. Golf Delta Hotel Lima Victor is a registration. Flight time this evening once it reaches about 6 hours and 45 minutes. This one quite a new one in the DHL fleet, just 2 years of age, delivered in April 2023. This one in the official Formula One logistics partner livery. Sunlight just gleaming off the engines there on that Falcon in front of us. Just unfortunate it's made its way to stand in the opposite direction. There we go, not a regular spot for us. The upper cargo deck on the 777 all closed up then, and the ground crew just moving the ancillary equipment from underneath the rear of that aircraft. Crew just making their way up that forward stair. So hopefully that door will be closed in the next few minutes and start pushing back. Let's see if we can move the camera just a little further around. There we go. Get that forward staircase in there. 152, we saw departing earlier, making its way back in. This one was given way to the Ryanair. And of course that Falcon landing in. Safely off of the taxiway and back off in the direction of the flying school here at East Midlands. There you go. Nice flight out this evening. Hopefully nice and calm anyway. A bit bumpy on the climb out. The wind subsided quite a lot since we started streaming, so hopefully not too bad up there. So it doesn't look like a lot of movement around the Falcon now. Everybody has moved to the other side of the aircraft. The 777 on final, on just overhead keg width at 800 feet now. So a pan around then. Catch the 777 as it makes its way in from Cincinnati. The reverse thrusters on those engines making their way towards us. Using all of the available runway this evening. Taxiing off right on the right at the very end of the runway there. Ryanair service in from Wrocław, about 20 minutes away now. The 777 making its way in from Leipzig, about 20 minutes as well. That one just making its way over Barnsley at the minute. Should be making a left-hand turn down towards East Midlands in the next few minutes. And we should see that one arrive into us in the next 20 minutes or so. Maybe just behind, or maybe just ahead of that service arriving from Wrocław. Ryanair service in from Dublin though. That one too is around 20 minutes away from us now. Just passing north of Wrexham. traffic passing overhead this evening. 777 there, British Airways 777 off to JFK. Fortunately obscured by the cloud. The A380 is also making its way towards us. I don't think we're going to be as fortunate this evening. There's quite a lot of dark cloud right above us. So a little earlier, I might have had a bit of a better chance. Now I'm coming to a stop on its stand end this evening. It's 777 making its way in from Cincinnati. So let's pan around and have a look at the aircraft outbound to Leipzig this evening. Ground crew just underneath the aircraft. Looks like they're ready to move that forward stair out of the way. A lot of people in the aircraft. The door should be closed in the next few minutes. See that one off on its way over to Leipzig. Bring that Falcon just into view there. There you go. Nothing much happening on that one. Not too sure if we'll indeed see that one back out again this evening. No details on that unfortunately, but we shall keep an eye on it. This one did have an estimated departure 5 to 7 this evening. So look, see if that has changed. About 5 past 7 out, we're looking like for the next 10 minutes or so, that one should be on its way. So a little delay on the outbound there. Oh, the 777 to Leipzig this evening. Looks like everybody's ready to get that one moving though. So pan around then. 767 making its way out as well this evening. All the cargo being put around the outer perimeter of that aircraft, ready to load on. This one is off out to Brussels within the next hour or so, hopefully. So hopefully it may take a little while to get everything loaded on board this evening. have a look at the next arrivals then into East Midlands. That 777 in from Leipzig, making its way down towards us now. Very quickly approaching us. Should be with us in the next 10 minutes or so. That one is west of Mansfield at the minute, making its way down towards Alfredton. Should be routing straight down towards the centre of Nottingham before making that turn on to final approach for runway 27, the Ryanair service in from Dublin. Looks like that one is going to be behind the approaching 777. That one still with about 12 minutes to run. North of Uttoxeter is the current position of that one. 12,700 feet is its altitude, 340 knots is its speed. Registration again then on that service from Dublin, Echo India Delta Whiskey Golf. Like a few last checks then for the crew there on the 777 as they make their way up and down that forward staircase. And from the south, they're on a service in from Vraslav. That one should be with us in about 10 minutes as well. That one is currently west of Market Harbour, just east of Lutterworth, making its way up towards the south of Leicester. 10,000 feet is the current altitude on that one. Looks like it's holding at 10,000 feet for the time being. 284 knots is the speed. Looks like that one is slightly changing course. Slightly giving way to the 777 just ahead of it. That one at 7,600 feet now. And registration again on the inbound 777 from Leipzig, Delta Alpha Alpha Lima Foxtrot. This one is 15 years of age, entering into service in June 2010. It's like its first flight out of Leipzig today. Departing out of Frankfurt yesterday over to Kennedy, and then making a return trip from Kennedy over to Leipzig, where this one has originated from this evening. That forward door all closed up now, and that's being moved out of place, which means that 777 is just about ready to start pushing back off stand this evening, making its way down to the start of runway 27. So, thank you very much for joining us again from East Midlands this evening, and welcome to a live flight section. If this is your first time joining us, thank you very much indeed for watching this evening. We'll be back out on Thursday evening as well, hopefully with a bit of a busier schedule, so it can be a bit hit and miss in terms of departures and arrivals into East Midlands. One of those early flights departing just as we're setting up for the evening, but managing to catch a lot of the arriving traffic into East Midlands. The 777 that we're going to see in just a few minutes, making their way over from the east. And of course a lot of the heavier traffic from the west as well. The UPS 767 making its way in from Philadelphia with about an hour left to run on that one. And the 757 making its way down from Reykjavik. That one departed about 35 minutes ago with about an hour and 40 minutes left to run this evening. Looks like first though, 777 inbound from Leipzig will be the next aircraft inbound to East Midlands. The 777 in front of us just starting up, pinging up on radar. Bit of sunlight now making its way back through as well. There we go, starting to push back off stand. If we drop a little bit of that light, take a bit of the shimmer off that skin of the aircraft. Avoid getting bitten by every insect that can possibly be out this evening. The About 777 at 2,800 feet now then. That one about 3 or 4 minutes from landing into East Midlands this evening. Stick with the 777 air in front of us just for the time being though. Hopefully you can hear those engines starting up. Crew in the flight deck as well there. Turn that brightness down just a little bit as the sun starts to peek through again. There we go, good side on view. As the crew commences startup procedures for the engines this evening. Tug still in place. It should move out in just a minute or so. There we go, all disconnected. It should be off under their own power in just a few minutes' time. Ryanair service in from Dublin, just crossing the approach for runway 27. Looks like it's going to make that. Looks like that one is going to make its way a little further south, giving way to the service arriving in from Wrocław this evening. 777 inbound from Leipzig though, overhead Kegworth now. That one just about to pass over the M1. 600 feet is its altitude. There we go, from 777 starting its taxi out. We pan across very quickly. We'll see the next 777 making its way into East Midlands. again using the majority of the runway this evening. See whereabouts that one makes its way onto stand. Just pan around from that 777 to the one in front of us though. There we go, just making its way onto the taxiway, vacating off of the apron there. Starting a slow journey down towards the start of runway 27. Now those next Ryanair arrivals should be with us. We'll stick with the 777 in front of us for the time being. The Aerologic 777 just vacating off of the taxiway there, making its way onto the apron. Vraslav service overhead Kegworth. Just how dark is in the distance this evening, down towards the south. A little bit brighter to the north. Let's have a look then, leave the 777. Pan around, catch the 737 in from Vraslav. Flight time this evening, an hour and 53 minutes. Registration on the arriving aircraft at Sierra Papa Romeo November Golf. It's one of 737-800 with those retrofitted winglets there. 19 years of age on this airframe, entering into service October 2005. Probably one of the first of many airframes for Ryanair as it's starting to ramp up its operations all that time ago. Right, let's have a look at the possession on the service in from Dublin then, if we keep up with this one. And we're just taking a bit of an extended final approach into East Midlands, but that one is at 2,500 feet now, making its way down towards us. 777 will likely give way to the inbound service from Dublin this evening. The 737 passing by the Falcon there on the apron. Let's just have a quick look, if we can, in the direction of 777 inbound from Leipzig this evening. There we go, that one on stand. The ground crew already underneath that one, getting it prepared to start being offloaded this evening. Around the 767 off out to Brussels as well. Looks like that one may be quite a light service out this evening. Not a lot of cargo to go on board. Shall see, that one is due out within the hour. Ryanair service in from Vraslav then, now on the apron, the 777. Just holding short. That service in from Dublin is overhead Kegworth, 900 feet, passing down towards 700 feet now. So the crew of that Falcon just have a look around the outside of the aircraft now. All the colours on the pitot tubes out, so it may or may not be outbound this evening. Fingers crossed we'll see it on the outbound though. Next arrival then is a service in from Dublin this evening. Wow, that one made quite a bit of noise there. Very heavy on the reverse thrust. Registration then on the inbound Echo India Delta Whiskey Golf. This one is 17 years old. First entering into service September 2007. Just a short flight across from Dublin this evening. 47 minutes is the total flight time for this one. A very noisy arrival indeed. 777 lined up on runway 27 then. There we go, those engines throttling up, making their way towards us. Very loud evening indeed. Oops, there you go. Safely climbing out of East Midlands and the 777 making its way over to Leipzig this evening. So not had noise like that for quite a while. Very steep bank there as it banks towards the left, making its way down towards the south. So I think the wind absolutely dropped dead then, so nothing to carry that sound away. 2,900 feet on this one. Climbing out very rapidly this evening. And there we go, off into the cloud. That one delivered into service in March of this year. Just 4 months old on the airframe. Climbing at about 2,000 feet a minute there. Service in from Dublin, making its way onto Standon this evening. Definitely starting to turn a little chilly as well. Darren and Lisa, thank you very much for that super chat this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for your support, both of you. Big Red, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us. So the ancillary equipment making its way around that 737. Sounds like the APU may have just started. 767 outbound to Brussels this evening. Let's have a look. Nothing just yet. Definitely something starting up in the distance though. Fueling truck underneath that one. And looks like they're getting ready to open the lower cargo decks there. Flight crew in the distance, just underneath in the high vis there, having a quick walk around this evening. Do some pre-flight checks before they depart out. Let's have a look on the very end stand, passing by the Leipzig 777. That forward door now open. Crew just making their way down the stair there. Chewy service in from Palma, making its way up from the south. That one is just overhead Milton Keynes at the minute, making its way down through 17,000 feet. 376 knots is the current speed of that one. Registration Golf Tango Uniform Mike November. It sounds like another arrival just in the distance. Nothing on the radar as of yet though. So we'll see if anything gets a little bit closer in the next minute or so and have a pan round. Let's see what else has made its way into East Midlands. But the 777 there on the very end stand, making its way in from Cincinnati. Currently in the process of being offloaded. Let's have a look then in the distance. Maybe a Beach King arriving in. No, it's the service in from the Isle of Man. That'll be all service in from the Isle of Man there. These often disappear off the radar at a certain altitude, so it can be a little bit difficult to track their position. There we go, safely making its way into East Midlands this evening. Stick with this one for the time being then, as we wait for that Chewy service to get a little bit closer. This one should make its way onto the apron just behind that arriving service, or the early arriving service in from Kennedy. And then should be joined a little later on by the West Atlantic 737 in from Aberdeen. Vacating off the taxiway onto the apron then. It's very dull and dingy in the distance. So the visibility all the way around isn't too bad this evening. Probably 10 miles or so from where we are. A lot of intense dark cloud in the distance surrounding us this evening. Ryanair services to Valencia and Wrocław then should be making their way out soon. The Valencia service with an estimated departure time of 7:30 and the Wrocław with an estimated departure time of 7:35. So in the next 15 minutes, both of those aircraft should be making their way down to the start of runway 27. There we go, it's fitting very nicely next to 767. The RVL caravan in from the Isle of Man this evening. UPS 767 in from Philadelphia at 37,000 feet. That one is over Ireland at the minute, making its way down towards Dublin. Looks like that one is going to cross past the most southern point of the Isle of Man, down in towards Liverpool, and then across towards East Midlands. GE 737 in from Palma. That one is about 9 minutes away from us now, just east of Lutterworth. That'll be the next arrival into East Midlands, and then very, much further north. 757 in from Reykjavik this evening. That one will be with us in about an hour and 20 minutes time. Currently cruising at 37,000 feet, 448 knots is the cruising speed on that one. Registration on the inbound 757 Golf Bravo Mike Romeo Alpha. Ground crew moving into place on the caravan then. A lot of cargo coming off this very small aircraft. Pretty much using every bit of available space. Good to have you with us there, Sinan. Thank you very much for joining us. Looking a little brighter towards the east. So it's looking a bit of a different story towards the west at the minute. Hopefully escaping any rain showers above us. So a quick pan around and check on the progress of the 767. Looks like that one is still waiting to start loading this evening. if not, the cargo is intended for another aircraft. It looks like they're connected there. The crew is on board, so may well be. And you can just see the aircraft lifting up there as that tug moves into place. So looks like the cargo is for the next arrival onto that stand. 767 making its way out to Brussels a little earlier this evening. Chewy in from Palma, just north of Leicester now then. That one will be arriving with us in about 5 minutes time. Passing down through 4,500 feet now. There we go, making its way off of the stand. This engine's already starting up. Should get quite a good view, a head-on view of the 767 then as it starts up both of its engines this evening. A little further up, whole aircraft in frame. There we go. If we just pan up as that 767 is starting, we'll just be able to catch, there we go. Atari 787 making its way into Manchester, seen in the cloud, just briefly giving way there. There we go, off through the cloud. Just losing that one there as it moves just out of view. Back onto the action in front of us though, the 767 there. Both engines started. That one is now on the ground. So ready to move out of the way. Commencing the checks on the flight surfaces there. And should have full and free movement. Chewy service in from Palma, just over Eastleigh, making its way down towards us then 1,500 feet, making its way down towards 1,000 feet now. And good to see everybody here in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's good to have you with us. A little bit calmer this evening. The wind is virtually dropped away now. Temperature quickly dropping away as well. About 4 degrees cooler than where we were just a couple of hours ago. Richard, good evening to you, and Ryan as well. Giant Context, thank you very much for being with us this evening. Hopefully see you on the next one. Stay with the 767 then, just briefly. There we go, as that one taxis off of the apron. Just pan around, catch the arrival of the Chewy into East Midlands this evening. Registration on the inbound Golf Tango uniform, Mike November. Flight time this evening, 2 hours and 3 minutes. Braking quite hard as it rolled past us there. That one safely on the ground at East Midlands this evening, continuing in its taxi down towards the apron. I'll stick with this one then, just for a few minutes. (767) off to Brussels, continuing its taxi down towards the start of runway 27 now. The aircraft in front of us, 3 years of age. Just over 3 years actually, entering into service with Chewy, April 2022. DHL 767 just taxiing out of view. Hopefully we'll see the 2 Ryanair aircraft there departing anytime soon. So both had estimated departure times of 7:30 and 7:35 this evening. DHL 767 quickly approaching the threshold for runway 27. See whereabouts the Chewy makes its way onto stand this evening. So everything towards the front is quite vacant at the minute. Passengers making their way Maybe ground crew actually making their way on board the Ryanair aircraft there. (767) turning on to runway 27. That one's throttling up towards us now. Let's pan off the Chewy. Catch the departing 767 out of East Midlands this evening then. On the bench. Climbing out at quite a rate there, 4,500 feet. That one already at 2,000 feet. There we go, that one disappearing straight into the cloud there. That one already making its way up through 4,000 feet this evening. Quite a rapid climb out there from the 767. Did assume that it was going to be quite a light service this evening, but there's quite some rate. Let's have a look back round in the direction of the Chewy now then. So that one is perching there for the evening. Everything already in place, front steering in place. Ground crew there just opening that forward door, waiting for those first passengers to make their way off. Nothing pinging up for those two Ryanair services just yet. It will be the services off to Valencia and Vraslav this evening. See those first passengers making their way off of the Chewy aircraft there. So hopefully we'll see those out in the next few minutes. Let's have a quick pan across. Just leave the Chewy for the time being. So the aircraft in front of us there is off to Vraslav this evening. The ground crew just making a few final checks underneath the aircraft. I may or may not just be able to see second Ryanair aircraft there. That one is off to Valencia. Unfortunately, that one slightly obscured by the Chewy behind it. There we go, those two Ryanair aircraft should be departing hopefully very soon. But for the time being, we'll stick with a Chewy as that one disembarks this evening. Let's have a look a little further afield then at those next arriving aircraft. UPS 767 at 33,000 feet now. That one at 513 knots, making its way over North Wales, just making its way over Anglesey, so south of Anglesey, over North Wales, making its way over to Wrexham now, onto Stoke-on-Trent, north of Derby, towards Nottingham, and then in towards East Midlands. That one with about 20 minutes left to run. West Atlantic 737 is making its way down from Aberdeen now. That one departing about 8 minutes ago. Should be with us in about 40 minutes. Bit of weather up towards the north where that one is originating from, but currently at 22,950 feet. 378 knots is the speed on that one. Registration Golf Charlie Kilo Uniform Zulu is its registration. So we have some movement then on the first of the two Ryanair services departing out of East Midlands this evening. Service to Valencia pushing off stand there. So this one arrived into East Midlands about 35 minutes ago, making its way over from Dublin this evening. Back out though this evening, off to Valencia. So I would assume this will get pushed right to the back of the apron. And Richard, thank you very much for that super chat this evening. It's most appreciated. Sorry, flying around me. But thank you very much for your support there. Second service off to Vraslav. Also picking up on the radar, that one should be pushing to in the next few minutes. I mean, too bad of an evening at all. Bit more clear above us now. Particularly to the east. Not a lot passing our way though, unfortunately. If there's anything interesting, we shall have a quick glance up. Both Ryanair aircraft pushing off standing. There we go, side by side this evening, both ready to depart out. little further across, get both of those in frame for us this evening. UBS 767 in from Philadelphia then, 20 minutes away from us now. We're heading towards Stoke-on-Trent at the minute, just about to pass south of Crewe. Flight time this evening should be just over 6.5 hours. Let's see which of these aircraft make their way out first then. So the crew on the Valencia service, making sure all those flight surfaces operating correctly. Making sure they've all got free movement. Does indeed look like the Valencia service is moving off first, leaving the Vraslav service behind there. Let's have a look at the Valencia service then as it starts to taxi this evening. So it's not really the busiest of nights, but still some good traffic into East Midlands this evening. It's the first time I managed to catch the Dassault Falcon on one of the streams anyway. The Valencia service making its way out onto the taxiway now then. And that Vraslav service also starting its taxi off of the apron. Stick with this one just for a couple of minutes. Definitely makes a change of having no wind blowing at us this evening, making it a little bit warmer. The UPS service in from Philadelphia then, about 10 minutes away from us now. That one passing down through 10,400 feet. And that service to Valencia making its way down towards the start of runway 27 now. Service to Vraslav here making its way onto the taxiway, just about to join it. We've got that one safely onto the taxiway. The service to Valencia entering runway 27. Now just lining up on the centre line now. Making its way towards us then, the Ryanair service to Valencia this evening. Very shallow climb out there of runway 27 this evening. That one safely off into the distance. Looks like the camera may have just dropped off there. See if we can fix that. If not, we shall get you on the second camera. There we go, fix you on that one just for a minute. There we go, back online. Cable just dropping loose there. There we go, that Valencia service safely away, just making its way into the cloud as the cable dropped out. Service to Vraslav also entering at the same point onto runway 27. Let's just have a quick look at the Chewy aircraft in front of us then. Looks like that one has completed disembarking now. So pan around then and catch the next departure out of East Midlands. Ryanair service off to Vraslav this evening. The UPS service should be with us in about 5 minutes' time. That one is at 7,000 feet now, making its way down towards Nottingham. There we go. One of the cables still firmly in place. Another shallow climb out for that one this evening. Making its turn down towards the south now though, 2,500 feet that one is climbing at. (2,400 feet is its altitude now. Passing out of East Midlands airspace off to London control. There we go, will we lose this one to the cloud as well? There we go, swallowed up by the cloud this evening, but safely departing out of East Midlands. Let's have a look in the distance then. 767 on stand there that we saw arriving a little earlier. Nothing much happening around that one now. Excuse me. A lot of flies around this evening. Seem to be all congregating around me. 777 in from Leipzig then. That one is in progress of, in the progress of being unloaded. You see the crew to the forward door there. The 767 in the mountain bongos livery next to it. That one is also being worked on, as well as the 777 on the very end. Stand the crew just making their way down the stair there. Now let's have a look at the next arrival, and the UPS 767 making the first of two right-hand turns towards us. That one has just turned over Cartgrave. And then we'll surely be making that final turn towards the approach for runway 27 this evening. So a little look in the distance then. Particularly out of the Falcon there. Everybody is moved away from the aircraft now. All the colours on those tubes there. I think that one is firmly parked in position for this evening. Again, a lot of cloud cover now passing over the top of us. Fortunately, not a lot of blue sky left in front. Ryanair service in from far though isn't too far away from us. That one is at 10,400 feet now, about 10 minutes out. That one with a flight time of about 2 hours and 25 minutes by the time it arrives with us this evening, making its way towards Lutterworth at the minute, up towards the south of Leicester and then in towards East Midlands. The UPS 767 though is on final approach. That one is overhead East Leek at the minute, passing down through 2,200 feet. And across and have a look at some of the aircraft in front of us just for the time being. That one takes its time. To make its way in towards runway 27. West Atlantic 737-400 though is making its way down to us about 25 minutes out on that one. Still cruising at 22,950 feet, 378 knots is the cruising speed of that one. bringing the progress on the 777 on the end stand as well in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. Well, not too bad at all now, just a very light breeze blowing towards us, temperature quite stable, we're about 22 degrees where we are at the minute, dropping by about 4 degrees or so since we started the stream. Still quite a nice and pleasant evening. So thank you for sticking with us this evening, and of course for continuing to support the stream from East Midlands. EBS 767 landing in onto runway 27. Extended rollout from the 767 there as well this evening. A lot of aircraft using the majority of the runway this evening. Flight time on this one then 6 hours and 28 minutes, making its way in from Philadelphia this evening. Registration November 335 Uniform Papa. This one making its way back down towards the start, runway 27, where the UPS facilities are. 16 years of age on this aircraft, entering into service in 2009. There it goes, making its way back down towards its stand for the evening. Try and keep with this one for as long as we can before we lose it to the fence, unfortunately. Ryanair service in from Faro, just about to start making its turn onto the final approach for runway 27. That one with a flight time of about 2 hours and 25 minutes. Registration of the inbound service from Faro 9 Hotel, Victor Hotel. This one too is a 737 MAX, entering into service in December 2022. There we go, just about to lose this one to the fence and the trees there, unfortunately. But the UPS 767 landing into East Midlands this evening from Philadelphia. Next inbound then is that service in from Faro. So look at the progress of some of these aircraft in the distance. See if we can get all three into frame there for you. There we go, all three currently being worked on. And that arriving UPS aircraft there should be making its way out to Cologne this evening in just a couple of hours. That one with an estimated departure time of 10 PM this evening. So just a couple of hours for that one on the ground to get offloaded and be back on its way. There you go, bring you that apron view as well. The West Atlantic with about 18 minutes left to run then this evening. That one is making its way down Bradford at the minute. Overhead Clackheaton and Heckman White, making its way down towards Huddersfield and then on through the Peak District in towards East Midlands. So hopefully the weather holds off for the rest of the week, and of course if you're looking for something to do, the Aeropark is open this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. There's a link in the stream description below if you want any details on how to find the Aeropark. Have a look at all the aircraft they have on static display here as well. There we go, the Ryanair service here from Faro this evening. Flight time 2 hours and 25 minutes. Making its way down on the taxiway now. Shall stick with this one, see what this one makes it onto stand this evening. So we should be running for the next 30 minutes or so this evening. Hopefully catching the arrival of those last few aircraft on this evening's stream. West Atlantic is about 18 minutes away still. The Maersk service in from Belfast is about 30 minutes away from us this evening. That one departed about 10 minutes ago, making its way down past the most southern tip of the Isle of Man. That's 757 here from Reykjavik. That one is about 35 minutes away from us now, so we'll try to stick around, catch the arrival of that 757 as it makes its way down towards us. There we go, utilising one of the front stands there, that Ryanair service in from Faro this evening. That one too is due back out to Faro at about 8:45, so in about 35 minutes that one should be making its way out of East Midlands. Let's have a look at the last departures for this evening, and 777 should be making its way off to Cincinnati, hopefully on the arrival of a 757. So a pan around, it is the 777 on the very end stand. There you go, in that Formula 1 livery there. Cargo in the process of being loaded on, so the estimated departure time of that is 8:50 this evening, so in about 40 minutes. Now hopefully this one does depart on time, and just about see the filling line from the fuel truck there underneath the wing, so they are preparing to get that aircraft off of stand as soon as they can. Still looks like quite a lot of cargo to be loaded on that aircraft this evening. If we have a pan across just towards the JCB hangar there, I see just how much is at the rear of that stand. Quite a lot indeed to load on, especially all the smaller containers as well going underneath, but we'll keep an eye on that one. If we don't manage to catch it out, we will definitely try and catch it on another stream. But quite often the services out to Cincinnati can be delayed. Now making its way down towards us is that 737 in from Aberdeen. That one just passing through 9,500 feet now. 252 knots is the current speed of that one, making its way down just west of Matlock, heading down towards Carsington Water now. Flight time on that one will be just over 50 minutes. And the age of this one, 31 years, first entering into service in February 1994. Vulcan Air that we saw departing a little earlier on in the stream. Been quite a trip this evening, down towards the north of Leicester, back up towards Nottingham, and then just south of Mansfield. It's like it's over the M1 at the minute, orbiting down the M1, so likely chasing somebody in this direction. that one isn't too far away. It's been in operation for just over 2.5 hours now, providing air support to the ground units. So that West Atlantic may just be skirting a little further south. So we'll see whereabouts that makes its turn. So the wind is quite stable at the minute, and given its position, it'd be difficult to assume a change in runway direction, but we shall see. But nevertheless, that one is at 5,700 feet now. 223 knots is the speed. So I haven't got hopes up just yet, but there is a bit of a breeze blowing from the east. It'll be a very late turn indeed for the 737. If it decided to make its way down towards runway 27 from its current position. So we shall keep an eye out for that one. The Maersk 767 at 27,000 feet, and this evening 436 knots is the speed on that one. Registration Golf Mike Alpha Charlie Yankee. That's one quite an older airframe as well, 36 years of age, first entering into service 1989. So we pan around then, the Aerologic 777 with this anti-collision lights pinging away. Looks like the crew are preparing to move that forward stair out of the way. 737 is just turning over north of Burton. Looks like it may well indeed be heading down for runway 09 this evening. So those wind barbs on the map are pointing in the right direction for 09 operations. So there's nothing pinging up just yet for the Aerologic. It may just be being moved off stand. Nothing on the radar anyway. Let's keep our eye out in the distance then for the West Atlantic 737. Been quite a while since we've been on 09 operations. If we pan around, we should just be able to catch that in the distance somewhere anyway. Just pan out a bit. Where are we? There we go, little too far. Making its way down towards us then, the West Atlantic 737 here from Aberdeen this evening. Flight time about 52 minutes by the time it reaches us. So I'll move a few bits out of the way. And good evening to everybody here in the chat. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from East Midlands this evening. Good to have you with us. Switching runway operations now. Runway 09. And the West Atlantic 737 quickly making its way towards us. Very calm evening indeed, almost no wind where we are at the minute. This is about 8 knots on the weather bar there at the bottom. And just a very light breeze from where we're streaming this evening. There you go, the West Atlantic 737 making its way here from Aberdeen, landing into East Midlands. Let's have a look at that next arrival then. 767 making its way over from Belfast this evening, just north of Wrexham now. That one will be with us in about 20 minutes time. 777, that was pinging away on standard. Looks like those collision lights, anti-collision beacon lights there are now off. So may just be may well have been just repositioned on stand. Yeah, that forward stair is in place. Maybe just a little move around, get it in a bit of a better position. In terms of departures though, the Ryanair service to Faro should be making its way out in the next 20 minutes or so. That one with an estimated departure time this evening of 9:15, so in the next 20 minutes. That West Atlantic 737 vacating runway 09 and making its way back up towards us on its taxiway this evening. We shall catch up with that one in just a few minutes. But first, let's see if we can get a little bit more light. There we go. A little bit more stable. It's turning a little bit dark above us now. Look at that weather passing right overhead. Makes a change from where we've been over the past couple of weeks in terms of good weather. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this evening's stream from East Midlands. If you're new to the channel, do consider subscribing. We're out here every Tuesday and Thursday evening. We'll be out again Thursday this week, the 3rd of July. Thank you to all of our returning subscribers and members as well this evening. It's good to have you with us. Thank you everybody for your continued support. There you go, that West Atlantic 737 making its way back towards us now. Keep an eye on the approach for that 767 as it shouldn't be too far away. Passing by then is that service air from Aberdeen. Trying to get a closer view of the flight deck this evening if we can. This one will make its way onto the apron next to the Cessna Caravan we saw arriving from the Isle of Man a little while ago now. There you go, safely making its way off of the taxiway then. A series of turns, get itself lined up on the taxiway and then make its way onto stand. Just a short hop down from Aberdeen this evening, 56 minutes. Here's the total flight time. There you go, the crew waiting for that one. And the 767 in from Belfast and making its way down towards Uttoxeter now. That one is about 5 minutes from coming into view of final approach. So look over on the apron and the progress of that Ryanair flight back out to Faro this evening. Still on stand there in the distance, the Chewy. Looks like that is still being worked on at the minute. That lower cargo hold door still open. So nothing filed for that one this evening, so we'll be stopping for the night. But the Ryanair 737 behind it should be making its way out in the next 10 minutes or so. You see it becoming a little bit clearer in the distance as well. The sun towards the south managing to make its way through a lot of that dense cloud right above us this evening. So it looks far better towards the east than the west. Just pan around then and have a look at that service in from Aberdeen. That upper cargo door just visible. Going to work on that lower cargo door as well this evening. DHL 757, about 20 minutes away from us now then this evening. That one just about to pass west of Manchester, making its way directly over Manchester Airport this evening. 23,700 feet is its current altitude, 363 knots is its speed. And a Maersk 767 making its way north of Burton-on-Trent now. That one is about 4 minutes out. Thanks to everybody in the chat as well for supporting us this evening. It's very much appreciated. Let's pan around onto the approach 409 then this evening. See if we can make out that 767 somewhere out there. Where are we? There we go. A little bit lower down. It's a very faint light right in the distance. If we get a bit closer up, there we go, making its way down towards us, and that Maersk 767 in from Belfast this evening. Flight time will be shy of 40 minutes once that one touches down in front of us. Landing gear already extended on this one. That's 757 in from Reykjavik, making its way down towards Leek now. That one is about 15 minutes out. Thank you to everybody who's watching us from East Midlands this evening. It's good to have you with us. depending on the ground operations here of the 757, may well just catch the DHL 767 arriving in from Belfast, as well as a FedEx 737. Those services are about 30 minutes out now. So we'll try and catch those if we can. Maersk 767 then, our final approach now. Flaring quite heavily on the rollout there. Trying to lose a bit of speed as it makes its way down runway 09. So look in the distance, and the 777 then, that one's still in the process of being loaded up. 757 is about 10 minutes away from us now. Passing down towards 8,000 feet, 272 knots is its speed. Flight time, once it touches down with us into East Midlands, about 2 hours and 22 minutes. Vulcan Air still very much on operation over the M1. Just shy of 3 hours that's been out now. But hopefully not much more cargo to load onto the 777 in front of us. That one is due to go out this evening at about 10 to 9. So cutting it quite fine, about 20 minutes or so. That one should be on its way. Fingers crossed anyway. But the next arrival into East Midlands will be that 757 in from Reykjavik this evening. 38 years of age on this airframe and entering into service in February 1987. That should make its way in onto stand. Next, the 757 already in. There we go. And there's another one on the way as well this evening from Oslo. Registration on that one, Golf Bravo Mike Romeo India. So you'll have Romeo Delta, Romeo Alpha and Romeo India all on stand together this evening. 3 757s in at East Midlands. That one arriving a little later on, though, about 40 minutes or so before that one arrives in with us from Oslo this evening. Number 767 vacating off of the taxiway onto the apron. So look inside the 767 there then, if we can. See whereabouts this one is off to. That one is outbound to Cincinnati this evening at about 10 to 10, so a couple of hours before that one is due to make its way out of East Midlands. So about 20 minutes before that 767 makes its way in from Belfast, and I think we'll likely end the stream this evening then on the arrival of the FedEx 737 in from Belfast. That one is about 30 minutes away, hopefully a little sooner. But the 757 making its way down towards us now. Just about to turn north over Burton-on-Trent. Sorry, just about to turn north over Burton-on-Trent there. Ryanair service to Faro, if we have a look in the distance. That one now pushing off stand. So it should get quite a good view of this one being on 09 operations now, making its way down towards us, and of course starting its takeoff roll right in front of us. Let's see if the runway direction doesn't change again. So those wind barbs are pointing straight at us now, so should be all good till the end of the stream anyway. .757, if we pan off the Ryanair, just coming into view, that one just starting to make its turn. There we go, towards us. Landing gear yet to extend on this one. There we go. Pointing right at us now as it makes its way down on the approach for runway 09. There's quite a large plume of smoke behind that one. Not quite sure what that was. Hopefully nothing too sinister. Not like just as a landing gear was coming down, it emitted quite a lot of smoke from one of its engines. There we go, keep that one in frame. There we go, safely down into East Midlands then. Ryanair service to Faro. Pushing back and starting. There doesn't look like any issues with the DHL, so we shall see that one rolling past us in just a few minutes. That one vacating off of runway 27 now. And then Ryanair 737 MAX there in the distance, waiting to go out to Faro this evening. That one should be making its way out in just a minute or so. They're talking to the tower now. There it is, making its way off of the apron onto the taxiway. We should hopefully get quite a decent view of this one taking off this evening, as long as it makes a left-hand turn in a minute. There we go, making its way towards us and the Ryanair service to Faro. .757 not too far behind. That one just out of view at the minute, but we shall pan around and catch that one as soon as the Ryanair makes it a little further up the airfield. DHL 767 in from Belfast this evening then is about 10 minutes out. FedEx 737 is about 15 minutes away now. The Vulcaner is making its way towards us. Just losing the Ryanair there, sorry. Looking up for the Vulcaner, that one is on final for runway 27. Sorry, 09. Stick with the Ryanair for the time being though. Just about coming into view now. We will stick with the Ryanair and catch the Vulcaner as it gets a little bit closer. So the Ryanair will hold just a little further up. So the Vulcaner approaches us now. So let's leave the Ryanair for the time being. Pan around onto the approach. Hopefully catch that Vulcaner in. There we go. This one has been out in operation just shy of 3 hours and 10 minutes. As soon as this lands in, that Ryanair service will into runway 09. There you go, the Vulcanet safely down into East Midlands. Look in the distance then, the Ryanair making its way on to runway 09 then. Registration on this 19 Hotel Victor Hotel 737 Max. 2 years of age, making its way out to Faro this evening. There we go, thundering down 09 this evening. Service off to Faro. Pulling up right on the end stand. 757 in from Reykjavik this evening. That one being marshalled into place now. So look at that next arrival into East Midlands then. 767 making its way in from Belfast. We'll stay on the 757 for the time being. Hopefully that's going across as clear to you as it is me this evening. Skin of that aircraft just gleaming in the last of the sunlight above us. But the inbound from Belfast 767 300. Registration Golf Delta Hotel Lima Sierra. That one at 3,100 feet, just north of Burton-on-Trent, now turning on to the final approach for runway 09. Just about to see the landing lights on that one. Very faintly in the distance, so we shall pan around in just a minute. Let's catch some of that operation onto the 757 though. There you go, both engines shut down on the 757 now. Just pan around then if we can for the 767 on the approach into East Midlands. Out there somewhere. Oh, whoops, losing that cable again. There we go, should be back in a minute. Let's plug back in. There we go. Caught on the bottom of the tripod, unfortunately. There we go, right in front of us then. That's 767. Flight time this evening for the service in from Belfast then 38 minutes by the time it touches down. This one is just 12 years old, entering into service in November 2012. That's coming up to 13 years of age this year. And that last arrival, the FedEx 737, making its way down towards us now. That one is about 5 minutes out from turning on to the approach for runway 09 this evening. Registration on that one is Golf November Papa Tango Delta, 22 years of age. Entering into service in 2002. .600 feet on the 767 then this evening. 128 knots is its speed. Safely into East Midlands, and if we look back on the approach, should have the 737 quickly behind it. There you go, the faintest of light in the distance there. Zoom a little further in. No, not a 737. Something else sneaking in just before that one this evening. Not on the radar. Global 600. Our final approach into East Midlands, 1600 feet is the altitude on that one. At 156 knots. This one not showing up with any departing or arrival destination, but making its way out of Pittsburgh this evening. Into East Midlands. Level 600 next to London. .767 making its way back towards us. We still stick with the global though. very nice looking aircraft to have into East Midlands this evening. See if we can catch back up with that one, see whereabouts it vacates and makes its way to. 767 though, passing by us. 737 is on final approach as well. There we go, last of the sunlight just breaking through. Another FedEx 737 get a little bit closer. The 767 there is going to take the very first stand. The service to Brussels departed from a little earlier. There it is, coming to a stop on stand. If we pan across then on to the final approach now. There we go. FedEx 737 making its way down towards us. This one also making its way in from Belfast. Flight time this evening, 41 minutes. This one will be the final aircraft on this evening's stream. So thank you very much for joining us again from East Midlands this evening. It's been great to have you with us. Thank you to everybody who's joined in the chat as well. If you could help us out and subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely fantastic. Managed to hit 3,000 subscribers on last Thursday's stream. We're hoping to achieve 5,000 in the near future as well. So if you could help us out, that would be absolutely fantastic. There we go then. The FedEx 737 making its way into East Midlands this evening, and the final aircraft of this evening's stream. So thank you very much for being with us this evening again from East Midlands. It's our first stream of the week. We'll be out again on Thursday evening, streaming directly from the Aeropark. Don't forget, if you want to visit the Aeropark, they are open this weekend and Thursday. So look at the global just very quickly. There we go. Very sleek looking aircraft. There it goes, disappearing onto the maintenance apron there. Very good catch indeed. So the airpark open Thursday, Saturday and Sunday this week. There's a link to the website in the stream description below. If you want any information about how to find them, their admission times and prices, go and check out the link. But from me, that's it for the time being until Thursday. So thank you very much for being with us this evening. If you can help us out and subscribe, please do so. It massively helps the channel grow and it is free. We'll be out again on Thursday evening, but for everybody in the chat, for all the super chats as well, thank you very much this evening. But we'll see you all on Thursday. Have a great rest of the week.